Hi, hi, ladies. So good to be back for our little coffee talk hour. Well, it's not really an hour. I want to welcome everybody. My name is Andrea L. Rome. I am an ADHD parent coach, and I am the co-chair of Bergen County, New Jersey's chapter. And I'm happy to be here today. I am an ADDer. I have raised three kids with ADHD and would love to share my personal and professional experience. Joni.
Hi, I'm Joni Korn. I'm an ADHD coach, and a parent coach and a positive psychology coach. I am on the board of the Bergen County CHAD, and I have an ADDer who's 25. I am an ADDer, and I'm super excited to be here to chat with you guys. Super fun.
I'm Deborah Goldstein. I'm also an ADHD coach. I work mostly with kids and their families, and I have a gaggle of kids myself, some with ADHD, some without, and I'm excited to have this conversation. So, we were chatting about collaborative problem solving last time, and we finished that off and we said, what else would be so helpful to our teachers, especially as we end this school year and we begin the next school year? And when we were talking, we said that the one important thing when we're working with kids is connection and safety, right? Like if our kids don't feel safe, they're not going to be able to learn. They're just going to be on alert all the time. So we were talking about how that plays in for us as the adults in the room and what language we're using and how we're sharing our language and even what we're thinking, because all of that is felt by our students. So I know, Joni, you had some ideas that you wanted to share.
Yeah, I have lots of thoughts on this one. Um, so in order to really create a safe space, right? We need to be, as teachers, parents, caregiver, we need to be in our own safe space in order to create it, right? So in order to ask them to create a space where they can co-regulate with us, we actually have to be regulated in order for them to do it. Because they can either co-regulate with us or they can co-dysregulate with us, right? That is what's in our control. So not making them do something different, but how can I set myself up so they can have somebody to join with?
And I
And
just want to, I'm going to just interrupt you for 1 second because I just want to say, like you said, making them do something. And I don't know about you, but I have never been successful in making anyone do anything. And sometimes we think like, oh, we're going to get them to do something, but it really needs to be together.
Well, that goes back to the collaborative problem solving that we did for two or three videos, right? So how do we work as a team and not from this authoritative, demanding approach? Sorry to interrupt you, Joni. Continue.
no, it's okay because even if you happen to get them to do the thing in that moment, you're just setting yourself up for a bigger explosion later on, right? Because if they're dysregulated in that moment, or they're getting more and more dysregulated and they're being forced to do something, um, it only causes more dysregulation, whether we get them to do the thing or not. Like I said, it's going to come out later, probably bigger. So, so that's just something to think about. Like, you can say, well, sometimes not really, if you think about it, what happened later on down the road. So, um, and it also is developing your relationship with them. Is it developing it in a positive way, or is it developing it in a combative way? Right. Um, so one of the things that's important is your own self-regulation, and how we think about our students is how we're going to show up to our students, right? What is the story that I'm telling about this student that will dysregulate me further? Like, oh, here we go again. Oh, they're going to disrail the whole lesson. Like this happens every single day, right? That narrative just further dysregulates me and doesn't allow me to show up in a collaborative, problem-solving, empathetic way.
Okay, but
So it's
Joni, so now we're going to play devil's advocate here because I know that so many of the teachers listening and watching this are just thinking, okay, but you don't get, I have a kid in my class that completely derails my lesson every single day, and I have 24 other little people watching me all day, every day. And if that kid goes, I lose them all. So this is just not realistic. So how do we make this realistic within a classroom setting?
I'm just
yeah.
thinking we're constantly looking for patterns, right? So, what are the patterns that I'm seeing in the classroom? And how can I kind of nip it in the bud before that child gets triggered? Or we have to get curious and find out what's going on behind these behaviors that we're seeing. We know that a kid is not trying to give us a hard time, but they're having a hard time. So I think as teachers, we have to come from a different perspective of empathy and getting curious and trying to figure out what's getting in the way of this child being successful and not interrupting and not derailing the lesson.
And
This,
I think you just nailed it on the head, Andrea. I'm sorry, Joni. The the idea that it's not that this child is trying to derail the lesson, it's that something else is in the way. And therefore, as adults, we have to plan for it as opposed to viewing it in the, oh no, here he comes again.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talked about some of this stuff last time when we talked about looking for the patterns, planning ahead of time. I believe we talked about it last time, or we're going to talk about it. I'm not sure which. But yes, and the story that you're telling yourself about this child is having a hard time, not giving me a hard time, being able to get to that place. All of this stuff is like prefrontal cortex, calm thinking skills for the teacher, right? But the problem is when we use the language of, ugh, here we go again, we start to go back to our survival mechanisms. We get dysregulated. So, in order to access the things that we talk about, collaborative problem solving and what's getting in the way and pre-planning and executing the plan and then being flexible, this isn't working for whatever reason. It's all here. In order to do this as a teacher, I have to be able to keep myself from going to my survival mechanism. And when I do start to do it, how do I come back? Because my mindset and my ability to have, we're on the same team, that's regulation. I need to be able to recognize that in myself and what's making me slip away. How do my tools to come back, breathing, checking my narrative, making it positive or neutral instead of negative, so I can show up calm, so I can start using these tools that I have. Like, um, let me take a breath. Let me look. Let me reframe this. What plan did we come up with? What happened in the past? All of this stuff. It starts with our own regulation in order to access any of those skills. And the good news is that's in our control.
So I
That's
just
the great news.
reiterate some of those things that you just said, because I think that's what the teachers want to walk away with in this last minute that we have left. What are some of those tools you can use while standing in front of a classroom with 25 eyes on you that are going to be calming? And you said taking that deep breath. You said remembering that we want to be collaborative. What else did you say?
We did.
They're having a hard time. They're not giving me one. What was the plan that I came up with yesterday? Like this is a pattern. I've already looked at this pattern. I see what happens. What are some of the things that calm this child? I'll do them now.
And the last
And
thing I want to say, Joni, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we kind of, you were talking about reframing how we're looking at the situation, but we also have to reframe how we're communicating with them. Because I think a lot of times we come off without that empathy and without that tolerance. And we have to start looking at how we're communicating and also what our body language and our tone looks like. So I'm sorry that we have to end here, but I know in our next video we will be picking up on this, and I look forward to that conversation. So bye bye for now.